Thank you, sir.
All right, you should be good.
All right, great. Let me get this into presentation mode. Let me reduce this and we will take it away. Again, I appreciate everyone hopping on the call today. This is being recorded again for those that are not able to make the call. I spoke with Aaron a little bit before everyone jumped on. There is a limited number of people on here, but we are going to go through my agenda just so that when it does get recorded, people can view that. But what we are thinking is once we get through this presentation, I might go a little bit faster than normal, just in case those of you on the call have some specific questions regarding your league setup. We may be able to address those at the end. We have 120 minutes. We'll see how as Aaron mentioned, I could spend 1,200 minutes on Golf Genius, and we still may not get through everything that needs to be presented or learned. So, but as you can see within this 2026 CGA League setup, start to finish, we are going to go through a quick introduction. That'll just be an introduction of myself, just so that those of you on the call kind of know me a little bit better. And then this is a brief PowerPoint. This is going to go over the help tab, league creation, league execution, and then we can certainly have questions at the end. Being such a small group, if you do have any questions during the presentation, feel free to take yourself off of mute and ask that question. And then if it gets a little bit too extensive, we may curtail that or hold that off until the end, just so that the recording doesn't get kind of jumbled up with kind of a use case that we may get into. So as Aaron mentioned, my name is Justin Scott. Oh, I didn't change this for my last presentation. I've now moved up to a 23-year PGA member, and I've been with Golf Genius for 9 years now. So we can kind of certainly, I joke with the Women's Golf Summit, we're just a year older, a little grayer, maybe a few less hairs year after year. So, but happy to still be on the earth and working for Golf Genius and helping you out with the software. I've worked with the support team for about a year and a half and then moved over into account management where I manage 9 states in the Northwest, as well as 4 provincials up in Canada. So I am your main contact if you need some help with setups or formats or just getting things built out. We will talk about the help tab, where that's where when you get into a scenario where you need some immediate assistance, that's where our support team will come on and be able to assist within a 3 to 5 minute window. And additionally, I've worked at multiple facilities in Colorado, Wyoming, Florida, Connecticut, Rhode Island. So I certainly know what entails or what is entailed within golf operations, not only as a head professional, assistant professional, outside services, ranger, starter, everything that is involved within golf operations. I've certainly had a hand in, which certainly helps when you're learning the software within Golf Genius. I know some of you may not be at a green grass facility, but I'm sure you've played in enough tournaments and you've worked enough leagues to know the order of operations that need to take place in order to conduct a successful league or event. And that's what we are going to look at today in a league creation, quote unquote, from start to finish without some of the higher level scenarios or setups that we'll certainly discuss on our next call in 2 weeks. But as you know, the help tab, we have live training, we have knowledge base with 1,300 articles, pre-recorded webinars, and again, the contact us feature. I'll show you that once we get into the inner workings of this particular league. As you know, Golf Hub is a good way or a great way to try and generate exposure to your leagues and events via digital flyers, via promoting events with event details. We can have registration. We can have registration with payments. This is not only a TM Club feature, it's also a TM Premium feature. And then the Colorado Golf Association has allowed you to aggregate your events into their regional hub, and that's on their website under Member Services, CGA Golf Hub. So that if we do decide to promote a league to the public and you want to try and gain exposure and gain participation, we can build out this hub page, push it to not only a URL that you can present to your membership via your website or your social media feed. The CGA has also built that out within their website to try and generate participation for the league or event that you are conducting. I'll briefly kind of show you where those features are within the league setup. We probably won't get too deep into showing you how all of that works. There's a 30-minute webinar that can certainly give you that information that you can utilize to set up a nice Golf Hub page to hopefully generate registrants for your leagues or events. We'll focus on the customer center. Briefly, this is just the main area that you are sent to when you log in as a customer manager. If you're not a customer manager, you won't see this particular page, but this is where basically it serves as the default that funnels down into everything that is involved within your events and leagues. Maybe a couple minute segment on just showing you a few of those customer center tabs: master roster, customer settings, directories and registration, and season management. Then we'll go into the league creation and execution. Again, this will be where I am. I will be in the software. Hopefully those of you who have used Golf Genius in the past will understand the navigation as to where we are moving. If I do get a little bit quick in my clicks, because sometimes I can, because I certainly have an idea of where I want to go next, certainly stop me. Hey, can you go back a page and let me know where that setting was or where you are within the software? Or if we need to go back and view the recording again, you certainly can do that at any point in time just to get an idea of where you are within the navigation of the software. Within that league creation, an event and a league are certainly synonymous. So we are going to create an event or a league roster. We'll talk about updating indexes. We'll talk about adding rounds, creating pairings, building tournaments, generating printed materials, scorecards, cart signs, entering in your scores, displaying those results in a number of different ways. And then certainly the last step, which sometimes gets forgotten because you are happy that the event is over and your job duties have been finished, is posting scores. So we'll go through all of these in these logical steps. Now, that's not to say that your order of operation may be a little bit different, and it can differ from time to time based off of your emotions or how you're feeling that particular day or where you are in the software as to what action you want to perform, because sometimes we can certainly mix up these order of operations somewhat to still generate the same result. And then certainly at the end, we will certainly take any questions that you may have regarding what we've discussed on this call or anything that may be taking place within your particular facilities league. So I'm going to get into my event here. I'm going to plug in my other screen now that that PDF is gone, and I'm going to move a few things over so I have full access to my screen. And also I am going to stop sharing my video just because it responds a little bit faster, and I'm going to be looking down at my keys, so it feels kind of awkward when you're watching myself on video and then my eyes are focused down on the screen. It just kind of makes me feel a little bit better, just so that you can watch the screen and watch the mouse to see what steps are being taken. So when we come into the customer center, if you're a customer manager, you're going to be logged into your account, either a TM Premium account or a TM Club account. Your master roster is going to be those players that play at your facility most often, whether it be a GHIN update from the CGA and your GHIN profile at your facility or profiles at your facility. I just uploaded one from the Greeley Golf Association, and they had 4 identifiers from 4 different clubs at Boomerang and Highlands. So it certainly could be a mixture of GHIN clubs within the CGA. We can always add players manually. Maybe you have some golfers not in your GHIN roster that we want to get added, or we can certainly upload rosters from a spreadsheet as well. And we can communicate with those golfers or a subset of golfers between text messages or emails. Your customer settings are the settings that flow down into your events. Your default settings are how you have tiebreakers or how you want scores to be identified, whether it be circles or squares or color combinations of scores being entered. Your default portal is what we will display to your membership to try and give them the information that they need either prior or post a event or league round. And we can certainly customize that particular portal with logos, banners, and backgrounds. If you have a website, go to any website, it's not going to just be a blank canvas. Some are, but certainly we give you the ability to dress up your portal with photos, banners, backgrounds, images, so that it gives a nice presentation to your membership. Your course details, we will certainly want to make sure that your course is WHS compliant. If you do go into your course details and notice that is not WHS compliant, you can try and re-import it from the course rating directory, or certainly get with the CGA staff to make sure that your rating slopes, stroke allocations are all consistent with your scorecard, so that hole by hole scores can be posted through Golf Genius and PCC can be applied if the course is playing easier or harder on that given day.
Hey, Justin. We
Mhm.
can still only see your slides, your PowerPoint.
Interesting. Let's try again. That better?
There we go. That's
Okay.
that's what we need. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Okay, back here, master roster. These were the settings. Appreciate that, Aaron. Glad that I wasn't just giving you a full presentation while you're just looking at my slideshow. That would not have been great. But again, our master roster, again, these are your tabs under your master roster. These are the tabs under your customer settings, your default settings, logos, banners, and backgrounds, default league, event member portal, and course details. Certainly, there are some other options or other features within the customer settings. You can certainly look at those if you wish, to make sure that all of your settings and your customer settings tabs funnel down into your events and leagues. We can build directories that is just a URL that is a list of all of your events and leagues at your facility. And this is where you can build out your My Golf Hub page. This is where all of your events would live on your website, and we could publish those to your Golf Hub page, and that can be customized as well with banners and thumbnails and descriptions. Season management, hopefully you all are using the seasons tab so that we're differentiating between seasons. Colorado and Wyoming are great examples where our seasons are normally annual, where we would have a 2026 season, 2027 season, so on and so forth. And all those events and leagues live within those seasons so that they can be differentiated throughout a calendar year. And then if you're on Club Premium, you'll see a payment center where you can just get some information regarding your billing address and or a Stripe gateway. I will be going over a little bit of Premium and Club today within this presentation, just so that everyone is aware of what is available on Premium, what you can do with Premium, but I'll be certain to make sure that I differentiate what is a Club feature and what's a Premium feature. And if you are using Golf Genius, you certainly will know that, well, hey, I don't have that feature, so I must be on Club and I don't have that Premium feature. But certainly just want to give everyone the opportunity to see what we can do with both the TM Club and TM Premium platforms. As you can see here, I'm in my all golfer season, 13 events that I've set up for my CGA Women's Summit. But if I wanted to see what I've done for 2026 for my CGA Women's Summit, I have one event that I conducted in 2026. Looks like I've set up 16 tests this year. So this is a differentiation from all of my seasons. So I can certainly look back historically at what I've done, or look to see what I'm working in within this particular calendar year. We can always create an event from scratch, but if you have a league, and we're not going to clone a league because the operation is to show you how to build a league from start to finish. But after I build this league for my 2026 season, and everything is somewhat similar for future years, I can always clone this event so that I don't have to recreate the tournament. I don't have to recreate the portal. I don't have to recreate my registration form if everything is somewhat consistent from year to year. So the cloning feature is certainly a great advantage if you have set something up in the past and everything is 90% consistent with what you're going to be doing in the future. So when I come in and create an event, league, or trip, certainly want to give it the appropriate name. We will give it a league type, where in a league, we're going to build a roster of golfers, but not everyone in that roster is going to be playing on a weekly basis, more or less. There are some leagues where it is a match play, where teams of two do play every week. We are not going to focus on that type of league today. We're going to focus on this type of league where it's individual registration or individual signups for a league. And then we manage those golfers based off of whether they choose to play on a particular week or not. We'll put it in the appropriate category so that when you do come back to your customer center, you can find it. And then we are in your appropriate season. Takes a few minutes to get this created. Once we come into this league area, you can now see, and hopefully everyone is familiar with this UI of your leagues, golfers, calendar, rounds, and apps tab. Additionally, we have the dashboard. This was built, probably now 5 or 6 years ago now, I would believe. You can find a lot of information in your dashboard, and you can find a lot of information within the tabs on the top of your screen. Notice not everything in the dashboard is located within these tabs. Only the main and more important aspects are located within this dashboard. So I use the tabs at the top just because that's how I learned to use the software. When I work with new clubs that I train and they've kind of worked on their own, they a lot of times will work within the dashboard. So either one is great. I am not partial to using either one. That's just how I learned, but I certainly am trying to get better and more educated to use some of these tiles within the dashboard. The league tab, we want to consider that as a global tab. This has the functionality to set profiles for the entire league or for the entire rounds within a league. Our series that we may need to create, we'll talk about creating series. We may need a round robin schedule, maybe not for a league aspect, but if you end up doing a member guest, we could set up a round schedule. Sometimes bracket tournaments are set up within a league where we have a number of rounds that function within the league as a bracket tournament. That can be built under the leagues tab. And our multi-round tournaments, we may not get there today, but we will certainly focus on multi-round tournaments in a couple weeks with tournaments over multiple rounds that will aggregate into a total. If for some reason you need to change your default logo, banner, and background, you can certainly do that under the league tab as well. Maybe you have a sponsor that is sponsoring your league and you want to highlight them in the portal. You can certainly change that so that it's recognized in the portal with that particular company's logo, banner, and background. The golfers tab is where we are going to get golfers into the roster. We have 3 different ways with TM Club, well, actually 4. We have 4 different ways to get golfers into the roster with TM Club and quote unquote 5 different ways with TM Premium. I probably will import golfers manually from the master roster just to save time, but we will focus on these different orders of operations just so that everyone is aware of how that can be accomplished. Once we do have a list of golfers, we can communicate via email with TM Club and text messages with TM Premium. And we are communicating with our league roster. But once we build out our rounds, we can then communicate with that subset of golfers who have signed up for a particular round. Within the golfers tab, if we are building divisions, flights, and teams that will encompass the entire league, maybe we have a ringer division and this division needs to be utilized for the entire length of the rounds that are being played, we would build a league division. Same thing for your 2-person match or 2-person team match play. We would build a team list under the golfers tab because we're going to use that team list throughout the duration of the rounds. And then we may flight those golfers within the division or teams. We may flight the teams as well. So a subset of those golfers or teams are scored against one another in relation to the tournament that is being built. Multi-round analysis, not going to get into this, but these are certainly some statistical analysis that you could certainly look at if you wanted to do some analyses of your rounds. We will come back to the golfers tab here in a moment. The calendar tab, I always like this one because this is the easiest one. But this is where we can add our rounds. We can display rounds within the tabular view. And that's where we may or may not set round signups for a league. We are going to focus on round signups, certainly as a great benefit, not only for TM Club, but for TM Premium, to allow your golfers to let you know or answer an email in response to whether they're going to play in that particular round or not. And then the rounds tab, nothing is here yet because we have not added rounds. Once we add some rounds, we will work within the rounds tab. This is where obviously a lion's share of the work takes place because we are conducting 10 rounds, 20 rounds, 30 rounds within a league season. So certainly you're going to be in there at least that amount of time within the number of rounds that you're playing within your league. And then the apps tab, certainly a bridge to the portal is coming to the apps tab to the member portal address. You will certainly do this quite a few times. Hey, what's my portal look like? So I can certainly come back into my portal, and then my gearbox on the right-hand side gets me back to my manager site. So certainly you will be using this quite often. We'll get into some of these features here in just a moment after we have golfers in the league roster. And as well, if you are on TM Premium, we can brand your mobile app to show mobile pages and mobile banners. And these are seen in between scoring holes or at the bottom of your scoring rack. We won't show you that today, but just know that there is the ability to customize your mobile app for those of you who are on TM Premium. And then within Golf Hub, again, under the apps tab within Golf Hub or under my dashboard within Golf Hub is where I can create a Golf Hub page to certainly display information about what I am trying to promote or the league or event I'm trying to gain registrants for within this Golf Hub page. For TM Club, again, this is where we're going to talk about the 4 different ways that we can add golfers to your roster. With TM Club, I can import the golfers from my master roster from GIN or from previous events or leagues. I can manually add those golfers to the roster. I can upload them from a spreadsheet, or I can use Golf Hub to generate a registration where this is a URL populated on your website, again, populated to the CGA through the regional hub, and golfers can go through that process to register and possibly pay for a registration, which goes through Stripe, which is a third-party credit card processor, to build the roster. So those are the 4 ways that we can get players in the roster through TM Club. TM Premium, we have a registration process as well, where we can select custom fields for golfers to fill out within their registration form, so we can gain specific information from golfers: shoe size, shirt size, maybe not need shoe size, but shirt size you might need if you're giving a league shirt. Maybe there is a food preference or an allergy preference that you need to know when we are conducting our banquet at the end of the season. We can generate custom fields, build out a registration form, send those golfers to the portal to register for this particular league. And then once they've completed that, either via free registration or registration with payments, they are then populated to the roster. For today's exercise, I'm just going to import a handful of golfers from my master roster. And the only one that I'm really going to add here, just so that I have an email, me make sure I get the correct one here. I'm going to import myself here. Again, you can search for players if you want to. And then once I find those players, I can add them. If I want to select from the master roster, this just gives me a list of golfers that I can select from. And let me just make sure that I choose some golfers who don't have an email, so we don't send them communication. So this is where you're pulling from the master roster. If you're a men's or a ladies league and you want to bring those golfers to the top of your list, we can always just choose the gender option. Brings my ladies to the top. Nope, it's my men's league. I want to bring my men to the top. So this is how we're going to pull from the master roster. Again, other leagues and events, maybe you have in a league in the past where you want to pull X number of golfers from a previous league. You could certainly search that particular league and then bring those golfers into the roster. You have your GIN roster that you can find, which is just your roster of golfers within your database. And then we can certainly search from all GIN with your particular state, last name, first name, and we can bring those golfers into the roster. However, we determine to build this roster via those 4 methods for TM Club or 5 methods for TM Premium, we now have a list of golfers that we can now utilize and work with for the upcoming rounds. If I need to add information, obviously my GIN number is not in here in this particular scenario. We have a number of others that don't have a GIN number. But if they did have one, we could certainly pull that in. Let me see here real quick. Let me just grab mine. If for some reason you pulled someone in and their GIN number did not populate, you can always update their profile, populate the GIN number, and certainly add or edit any of the custom fields that are associated with that particular player. If you are on TM Premium and you want to add in a cell phone, we can certainly do that within the registration form. Or if a person didn't add that to their profile, we can certainly add that information into the profile of this particular league roster. So now we can communicate via email, we can communicate via text message if you have TM Club Premium for any communication that we need to get out to the golfers. Frost delay, GGIDs, results, anything that you may need to communicate with your golfers. And again, I'm communicating with these 12 or a subset based off of some sort of filtering mechanism. The calendar tab, again, this could have been done before I built my roster. A lot of facilities, what we do is like, hey, try and get all of your rounds set up, get all of your rounds built before you bring in the roster, because I don't know who's playing until April or till we do that league membership drive. So again, these are some things that certainly can be done in different ordering. But if I wanted to bring in my calendar, I could certainly choose, hey, we're going to play on 20 Wednesdays in May. Well, this is 20 clicks of the mouse. We have another option here. When I am building a league, I can choose my start date. I can choose my end date. So in a few less clicks, I have built out my Saturday as opposed to Wednesday. Oh, no, that's wrong. We're going to play on Wednesday. Fine. We can move this back. So now instead of clicking all of these dates individually, which you can certainly add recurring rounds, save that, and now we're going to process these rounds, and this is going to push us into the tabular view of the calendar. I may not name all of these just for sake of time, but once we are within our round itself, under the tabular view of calendar, I can certainly name these rounds if you want to. I could, and then maybe it's a better ball. And then I'm going to put one in here. Obviously, it's a little early for the club champ, but to show you what we may want to do here, for round signups. We can certainly rename these. Now, what I've seen in the past, which I don't necessarily recommend, some people have put in the date in this round name, which is fine. But if I clone this into next year, I'm going to have to come in and change this month and day, because more than likely, I don't think it ever is on the same day based off of the calendar year and leap year. These days are always different. So if I come in and build out my league next year and I clone that, well, it's still going to say opening scramble 5-6, and I'm going to have to change that to the appropriate round date. So I do see some people doing it, which is fine. But if you have a cloning operation from year to year, instead of having to come back and change that or edit your round name, I like just to leave the name of the round edited here, so that when I do clone next year and it's May 5th or May 7th, whatever day that may be, I don't have to change my round name. If for some reason you realize, hey, I made a mistake here, the club's got a private outing on the 6th, we're going to move this to the 7th, we can always change that round date by just clicking on the round date, going into the calendar and choosing the appropriate date. And additionally, because I selected every week that I'm going to play, well, maybe on the 4th of July week, we are not going to play. So I can certainly always remove a round by coming in here, selecting to remove that round, and then everyone's going to take off the 4th of July week. The club may have some sort of flag tournament, or we know most people are on vacation that week, or the club's just going to be too busy to conduct your league. Whatever you decide there, we can always remove rounds if we've added them consecutively via that day of the week operation when I created those rounds. What we can do here within the tabular view of calendar is round signups. Again, I'm in the tabular view of calendar. Maybe we want to have every one of these rounds open up X number of days before the round commences. And then we want to close it so that we can create our pairings, get everything situated, make sure we don't have any late adds. We can certainly accommodate that manually. But within the tabular view of calendar, the rounds that I want to have open for signups, I can certainly select them all if I want to. However, the club championship, we don't want to sign up or send signups for round 2, because what we are expecting is everyone who signed up for the club championship round 1 will be playing in round 2 unless they had a bad round and they're going to WD, or they got DQ'd, or something comes up and they can't participate in the second round. But certainly we wouldn't want anyone who didn't sign up for round 1 sign up for round 2. There are some scenarios that do allow that, but for the most part, we only want to set round sign up open and close for those rounds where we want someone to take action to be populated into the roster. Under my please select to, I can set open and close times. Normally, what we recommend is if you're playing every week, just have it open up either the day of or maybe the day after a round has been played, so that multiple rounds aren't open at the same time. Some facilities like to open up round signups for the entire year, which is fine, but that would mean, let's say I sign up for every round, and then all of a sudden I'm going to be out of town for the month of September. I don't remember to cancel myself from that round. Then I'm part of the roster. I get paired. I don't show up for the 4-person scramble, and then you have to try and manipulate the pairings at that point in time to try and get the players who are playing paired together. So a best practice is, what we normally see is open up one round at a time, either 7 days ahead of time, 8 days ahead of time, 6 days ahead of time. And then normally closing it, we see 1, 2, sometimes 0 days. But this just gives you enough time to build out your pairings based off of who has selected to sign up. You can change this. Maybe we want to open this up at 6 in the morning and we close at 5 in the afternoon, whatever you choose to do. Once we hit go, We are now going to build out these signups, open and closes. So these will automatically open April 30th, automatically close on May 5th. The communication that goes out, and I'm going to send myself an email, and hopefully I get it, will receive it, which I normally do. As you saw here, just keep in mind, and again, this is something that if you are planning on having a round limit, and that limit may get close to being reached, we will send this invitation message out within 1 hour of signups opening. It doesn't go out right at 6 a.m. Sometimes it may, but sometimes it may be delayed. So we would want to certainly be cognizant of that if you have events or rounds that have a player limit and that player limit is reached quickly. We would want to maybe communicate something a little bit differently, not send the round signups, let golfers know that signups will open at 6 a.m. automatically, give them the URL to the portal so that 6 a.m. it's a mad rush, Ticketmaster to go get tickets to Red Rocks, so that we're not having someone come in later and have all of those rounds already be filled based off of the fact that their email was sent or delayed a handful of minutes as opposed to when the round opened. So keep that in mind if you are in that facility that does have a limit, and possibly that limit can sell out quickly based off of the round signups. If not, we certainly would want to send this out. Golfers can still access the portal and register before they get the email address, but this is certainly a nice feature if you don't have that stress of trying to get into the round based off of a limit. The configurations that are generated when a round invite is sent are under your round signups. When a golfer is invited to a round, by default, this is the email that we are going to send to those golfers. You're invited to participate in this round. Right now, it's round 1 on today's date. This is certainly reflected of what your round name is and what your round date is in your tabular view of calendar. And then certain your golfers can choose to select playing or not playing. You can edit the body of this email if you would like. We'll talk about the round invitation message here in a moment as to where that can be found. But this can certainly be edited to add more or less information if you wish. We feel that this is fairly appropriate for signing up for a round. But if you need to add other information, maybe what's for lunch that day, we could possibly put that in the round invite message, or what the format is. I'll show you where that can be found so we can add that information. Additionally, under our configured emails, when a golfer signs up for a round, we also will send communication to them if you choose to do so. And obviously, this would be the communication that those golfers would receive based off of the body of that particular email. So I'm going to go in here and start planning a round. Within a league, it's a little bit different. You do have to start planning the round every week. So if you are building out tournaments for your entire league season, it does take a few seconds within each one of these rounds to start planning the rounds. Didn't take too long there, but again, that's just an order of operation within a league. But let's say it is 4:30 and those round signups go out automatically. We can still open free signups and send out the invitations manually. Again, you don't have to use the automatic functionality. If you are one of those people who likes to be in the software and wants to manually send out invitations, great. You could come into your rounds tab, open the round, send sign up invitations. And what this is going to do is this is going to send myself that particular email. Now, you could certainly put a message in here if you are sending this manually. I'm just going to go ahead and send this now, and maybe we'll do one for another round to show you what that is going to look like. But under your rounds tab, under your round sign up center, custom fields is more for premium. We'll focus on that briefly to show you what that is going to look like. But for those of you on TM Club, within your round sign up center, notice that we do have the ability to set a participation limit for this round. Hey, the golf course is only giving me 60 players, so I can't have more than 60 register. We can certainly allow other members to add other members to a league. I don't necessarily like this functionality because let's say I add Aaron or Maddie to my round invite and they end up not playing. Well, great. Well, thanks for inviting me or thanks for adding me, but I'm out of town, or I'm getting ready to have a child. There's no way I'm going to be able to play in this round, or my wife's going to, take the kids and I'm never going to see him again. So I always like to leave it as a one of one for round signups for leagues, but certainly that is just my own personal preference. But you do have the ability to add other members, or maybe you're going to have a guest day where you're going to allow another member to add another guest. That's perfectly fine. That may be a little bit more appropriate because I know within this round I can add another guest and I know they're coming with me because I'm going to pick them up and I'm taking them to the golf course. But this is where we can add other golfers. If I had not already opened up registration, this automatically send invites would have been selected. Within the round sign up form, this is more of a premium feature, so I'll focus on that. And then my sign up open and close dates, if I had set that tabular view, and let me just go ahead and go into round 2 because I have not opened that yet. Within my tabular view of calendar, if I have already set my sign up open and close dates, you will now see under my round sign up center that we are automatically going to send invites. If I choose to not do so, that's fine. In my round sign up open and close, we have those open and close dates that have been already added through the tabular view of calendar. If I need to change those, I can certainly do that. Be like, you know what? I'm going to open this earlier or later. I can change my sign up open and close, even though they've been manually built. Back into round 1. This would be in my round sign up center. Additionally, if I want to add communication, and then maybe I should have done this before I sent out that automatic invite or that manual invite. We could certainly put in a round invitation message, and within that email that I'm going to receive, those golfers would receive this communication. And this can be done either in bulk under the tabular view of calendar if it's the same messaging, or if I need to change that messaging, let me just go ahead and save that. If I need to change the messaging on a round by round basis, I would come into that round, come into my round sign up center and put in I could put in whatever information I want into this round invitation message. Maybe I want to put a photo. Maybe someone got a hole in one last week and we want to put that into the round invite message. Hey, we want to congratulate Maddie on her hole in one. Fine, we could do that. We could add that to that round invite message, add in a picture, and then when that round invite was received, that would come within that email communication. So that's what we may want to try and do with the round invites. Either make it automatic, open it manually, add in round communication, and then certainly determine whether you are going to allow other members, meaning those players who are part of your league, and those other players who might be guests who you want to add as well, and then certainly set a player limit. Here is my opening scramble sign up that I received. I'm not going to answer it here because it kicks me out as a customer manager and I'd have to sign back in. But you can see that, yes, here is the invite that I received participating in this opening day scramble. Am I play or am I not going to play? Now, where this takes me is to the portal. And I'm just going to sign in on an incognito window so I don't get kicked out. So after I say, yes, I'm playing, it's going to take me to this portal where if I had answered the invite, it already would have known my name. It would already have known who I am. But since I am kind of putting this as a URL into an incognito window, it kind of has to recognize me. But this is what the page would have come to if I had said, yes, I'm playing. And then what we do have to say is I still have to acknowledge that I am going to sign up. Just because I answer the email and say I'm playing, I still need to perform some functions on the portal. There have been some pushback on this, but as long as your members get comfortable with the order of operations, yes, I want to sign up. Yes, I want to acknowledge that I'm playing. I need to send a message to the manager. You may want to ask, I want to play with AG. I could certainly send that message to the manager and then I can sign up. Once I sign up, I will be receiving an email. And you can see here, we have, once I've started planning these rounds, if I had opened up more than one round, I could certainly sign up for another round if I had multiple rounds open at the same time. Again, that's fine, but it just kind of causes maybe confusion or certainly allows a person to maybe not show for a round because they've signed up for so many ahead of time. If I need to edit or cancel my registration, I can certainly do so. But after I have completed that order of operations within this particular round, now you can see that there is one player who has been confirmed in this round. And then we'll see if I've already got it. Probably so. Yes, I've received a confirmation that I have signed up for this round. So those are the configurations, or those are the emails that are sent based off of what I've chosen to do in that particular round date. Let's say rounds close. Let's say a handful of these golfers have gone ahead and signed up for this round via an invite. I've got 5 players confirmed. It's 2 days ahead of time and round signups have closed, or it's 3 days ahead of time and I'm a little light on players. I can always send that round invite again, and those golfers who have not accepted a round invite will be sent another invitation asking them if they would like to play in this particular round. If rounds have closed, that's fine, and be like, well, I've got 5 players and it's an opening day scramble, and a day ahead of time, 3 other golfers say, hey, can I get in? Sure, no problem. I want to try and fill out the field so that we're not having to do threesomes. These other 3 players get marked as attending manually by you as a manager. And then, okay, someone else calls up, hey, can I play? Well, sorry, rounds have closed. We're already at 4 players. I'll give you a call if there's a cancellation, if you can make it to the course quickly or not. These are things that you can still certainly do manually if you choose to not use round signups, which I hope after seeing the functionality you will choose to do. But if you are still using the sign up in the back of the golf shop, we're just going to manually add these players to the roster each week, or certainly use the round sign up feature. So that's basically how we are going to conduct and build out each one of these rounds, because they work independently of one another. We can create all of our tournaments ahead of time if you choose to do so. Let's say this is an opening day scramble and it's going to be a foursome versus field, and you can certainly do this before you open round signups, before you build a roster. Under the rounds tab, under tournaments, is where we can build the formats. And at the Women's Golf Summit, as I mentioned before, I like to work top down, left to right. So many times I work with clubs and they're like moving around. Hey, let me come down here first. Let me come over here, which is fine. But just to make sure that all of your check boxes are built correctly, again, top down, it's a scramble. Okay, what's the format? Well, sounds like it's a stroke play format. Or you know what? We're going to play a Stableford scramble. That's fine as well. What's the competition? Well, we mentioned it's going to be a foursome versus field. So we're going to choose foursome versus field for the competition. How many balls am I going to use? Well, I'm not playing a best ball. I'm choosing my scramble format. How many holes am I playing? Is it an 18-hole league? Is it a 9-hole league? Are you playing the front 9, the back 9? We want to choose the appropriate holes. Then when I come into my point assignments, am I going to use the assignments that Golf Genius has done by default, or am I going to ruin someone's day and make a double bogey, triple bogey, or other -2 points? Nothing worse than a Stableford format where you get penalized for double bogey. I like it when it's 0. I can just pick up, but sometimes, we can be a little mean to our golfers and certainly choose a different order of operation for the point structure. Yeah, you're not going to get any points for a bogey either. But this is where we can build out the point assignments. Additionally, we can do other operations here. We'll maybe do another one in our second round just so you can see the different tournaments that we can set up. Am I going to handicap this? Maybe yes, maybe no. USGA offers a 25, 20, 15, and 10 recommendation. That's the USGA finally has recognized a scramble as a format, which is great. So we can use their handicapping formula if we choose to do so. Am I going to drop some worst holes? We certainly could. You don't have to, but we could certainly drop some worst holes if we wanted to. And then the tiebreaker option, normally USGA lasts 9, 6, 3, 1, or most to least difficult hole are what we see most often in a league environment. But there are a number of other tie-breaking options, or maybe you want to retain ties and split the purse between groups. You can certainly do that as well. Within the purse and points, we certainly have the ability to generate a first, second, or nth opportunity if we want to. And then within the purse itself, we can add in the amount of money that's going to be paid out. And keep in mind that since this is a foursome versus field, we will pay out $100 to that foursome, meaning $25 a player. If you're giving $100 to each player, you would set that purse at $400. So just keep in mind of that. You don't have to put the purse in here. We can always put it in at a later point in time once the round has been completed if you don't know what this purse is going to be. Maybe you're doing points as well. Maybe the points are a little bit different. We're going to give more points for whatever reason. You can add these in as well, and those will be distributed once the tournament has been completed. We do have a season points category where this accumulates points across events and leagues. Since we've set up a league, we may not need this opportunity to utilize it. We can build out a player points or player purse standings within the portal, and all of the points that are aggregated throughout the league season are generated and populated onto the portal. We have some handicap options if we wanted to. Certainly, maybe for this one, you know what? Let's say we're going to retain ties. Well, okay, well, I'm going to retain ties, but I might know that there are going to be a lot of players with the same combined playing handicap because of whatever reason. We can certainly calculate the playing handicap down to the nearest 10th or the nearest 100th. So, okay, there won't be any ties because I'm rounding to the nearest 100th for my foursome group. These are some handicap options that you may have within your rules as to how we're going to handicap this. Maybe we have the maximum handicap for men as 18. So if I'm a 25, I'm going to get brought down to an 18. We can hide positions on the TV display if you want. You can certainly hide results from the TV display if you choose to do so. Those are some of your display options. And the good thing about a league environment, let's say I'm going to play this on week 10. Well, instead of coming into week 10 and having to build out this format again, I can save this in my tournament library and I can auto include it into selected rounds so that on week 10, this scramble will now be populated into that round. I've saved myself some work from having to build out this format for week 10. And I can save this, and I now have my scramble tournament built, scoring at Stableford. But let's say we're going to do a skins tournament as well. But this is going to be not a Stableford skins, it's going to be a stroke play skins. We can certainly do that, where I can set up my scramble format. We're going to set it up as skins, foursome versus field, playing a scramble over 18 holes. And this time we're going to make it a gross. Well, sorry, I skipped a step, excuse me. Do I want to carry over? No. Do I want to have a par or better? Maybe. Do I want to really be mean and make validation required on the next hole? This is one that really gets me when people do that, because if I make a birdie on one hole, chances are I'm probably not making a birdie on the next hole. Maybe, but rarely happens. So maybe validation is needed, maybe not. We can do a gross skins game. And the way we can do this with the payout for your players, certainly we can know, okay, I have 8 players. It's going to be $10 a player. So that is an $80 purse. Or if I have a foursome and I know that it's going to be $40 per foursome, and then I have another foursome ad on the day of, well, instead of having to come back and change this purse to 120, the purse times foursomes will automatically multiply that for me, so I don't have to redo this format. Yes, I'm going to round down to the nearest dollar, so I'm not paying out any change. And then certainly, yep, we're going to do this again in round number 10. So these are the tournament formats that you're going to build out within your league. And since you have multiple formats, or more than likely will have multiple formats within a league, in round 2, when I go to work on my better ball of partners, obviously we're going to build out a different tournament because the format is different. If we have user scored tournaments, let's say we do a straight drive, we're going to make the super go out there and paint a line on one of the holes. You can add this in. This is per individual or per foursome. Excuse me. Maybe it's going to be all 4 of us are going to hit, and we're going to pay out our team because we get 4 chances to get closest to the line. Again, you can do by individual, by pairs, threesomes, or foursomes. Let's say this is an individual competition. And then also we'll do, we can do some CTPs. And once these placards come off of the golf course, that's when you fill in this information. So your tournaments tab is where we are building out all of your tournaments for that particular round. Again, you can do that beforehand, after you create pairings, at the beginning of the season, whatever's going to be easiest for you. Creating pairings, I'm going to kind of move through this quickly. Hopefully those of you who have worked with Golf Genius understand how to create pairings. But again, we can automatically create pairings, either randomly by A, B, C, D. You can manually create pairings based off of those golfers who sent you a note in the send a message to the manager that I want to play with a particular person. Normally, we don't see custom fields used in a league environment. That's saved more for an outing or a team competition. But certainly we can choose these options, and we're just going to do A, B, C, D, and we are going to optimize for most diversity based off of previous round pairings. But I did get ahead of myself. My apologies. Before this round, we may need to update indexes. So I need to access GIN, right? If I went ahead and had done this and I wasn't using the most current index of those players, I may have skewed pairings based off of previous indexes. So my apologies here. I got a little ahead of myself before I created my pairings via A, B, C, D. Now, if I created pairings manually, fine, I can create pairings manually and go back and update indexes. But since this would be an A, B, C, D operation, I would need to access GIN to update my indexes. Now, obviously, only those golfers with GIN numbers will be updated, which is fine. We'll just assume that these players don't have an index yet, or they just tell me what their index should be. but I can always update these players' indexes, and we'll see if these players have an active gen or not. Looks like Alice does not. Looks like I've improved quite a bit from a 14.5 to a 5.7. Got some lessons from a PGA Pro, and now my game's improving. So certainly this would have been a very skewed ABCD pairing. Now let's say Alice, you know what, Alice, you don't have you're not activated yet, but we're going to go ahead and allow you to play at what your previous index was. We can always go into the league roster and change her handicap index to what it was and be like, okay, Alice, go ahead after the round, go ahead and head into the golf shop and sign up for your gin subscription. So I did that manually. Within a league, we have a great piece of functionality that you can always update indexes on a particular day or X number of days before a round. So that, hey, I forgot to do that. Well, now I can set this to where I don't have to remember to automatically update or manually update indexes. Under the leagues tab, under my league profile, under handicap settings, I can automatically update indexes either X number of days before the round, or I can update them on a particular day. So this is a great feature where this can be done automatically so that you don't have to remember to update indexes or do what I did where you created pairings incorrectly because you forgot to update indexes. So that's a great feature. Leagues tab, league profile, handicap settings, update indexes. Let's go ahead and create my pairings now. We're going to automatically create them using the ABCD method, optimize on diversity based off of previous pairings. This moves me into my pairings page, where hopefully most of this is done for us automatically. If I have my players and I kind of show my total handicap index, well, I'm pretty close, 42.6 and 40.8. I need to set my course and tee. And if I have profiles for men and women, as far as gender, I can certainly select my gender type. So I can apply all of my men to the blue tee. And then if I select all players and if I have my ladies applied appropriately, it looks like this added manually. Looks like that was an interesting choice that I made in my profile. That particular person does not have a gender. So if I were to assign these ladies to the Alpine, let's see, we'll do the green squirrel tee. Apply them there. You can see that this course and tee isn't complete because this particular person didn't have a gender. So I would need to kind of look and hover over these. Yes, these players have been assigned a course and tee. This person, yes, added manually. Let's say she is a female. I can choose this particular green squirrel tee and apply that. If we've created flights, we didn't really get into flights today. We probably won't. But if we have flights or divisions, we can certainly choose those here in this drop down as well. Or if I have a tee in the player's profile, we can set those particular tees to those people with the custom fields in their profile. So a lot of things that we can do with divisions, with flights, with custom fields to automatically select these tees based off of some of these selections down here below. So I've got everyone set it to their tee. I can certainly set a shotgun or tee time. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Hopefully everyone has seen this, and if you haven't, you will, and you will be very proficient at it after a few times working within the pairings UI. So I've got my pairings created. If for some reason someone had to cancel and someone had to add, this is where we could remove players, add players. Maybe someone needs to move down or up in the pairings. These sections on the left-hand side deal with the players. Swap holes to the right deals with the tee times and the course and tee. We may need to print material. Obviously, with printed scorecards, we have a number of scorecards already built within Golf Genius. I've got a nice WGA 4-person card that maybe I've already built or I pulled in from my community. If I want to send that straight to the printer, I certainly can. This is what this card is going to look like. If I want to make some edits to the card to add additional rows or add additional scoring lines, or if I wanted to edit my handicap stroking, if I wanted to add some other logos or text, this is how I'm going to customize this scorecard. We feel like we've done a pretty good job by building a standard set of scorecards that may not need to be edited. But if you choose to edit the scorecard, you can certainly do so. Save a copy of that, save it as a new card so that you have this particular card for your outing, or you have this particular card for your opening day scramble that has some sort of sponsor who sponsored your opening day scramble. We do have a scorecard webinar, about 30 minutes long. Certainly goes over the functionality of editing a scorecard. I'm not going to go into that today, just due to the sake of time, because as always, time does creep up on us. So I've created my scorecards. Fantastic. If I need to generate printed material, I can certainly do that as well. Basic reports, lots of basic reports that you've probably seen. And then if there's something that you don't see here, you can certainly find it within your community report. Bring that into your report center and make those edits to that cart sign or that scoreboard or that alpha sheet that you want to customize and utilize for your particular event. We can, for premium, there is a GGID associated with each one of your pairing groups. So we can distribute this in a number of different ways so that golfers can utilize live mobile scoring. We can embed that on a scorecard. We can embed it in a text message. We can embed it in an email. We can email it out via a pro tip sheet. However we get this GGID out to your golfers, you as a manager move the round to in progress, enable mobile score entry. They enter in the GGID into their mobile device and begin to enter in scores. Very simple process, and it's certainly a time saver for that manager, so that if you have 100 ladies playing in your club championship, and they're playing a stroke play event, you don't have to, and it's a scramble or it's a shotgun start, no less. At the end of that round, you don't have to enter in 100 scores for all of those ladies, and they're not waiting for you to submit the scores to the TV display. With live mobile scoring, they've done most of that ahead of time, maybe besides one or two reluctant groups, and then you have those results available for posting and presenting right away. Those of you on TM Club, it is still that process of moving into the enter scores page and choosing the golfer and entering in those scores into the scoring rack. A skins game, yes, we are going to need hole-by-hole scores. Let's just say this is an 18-hole scramble. There is the functionality to only enter in an 18-hole score, so we may not have to enter in hole-by-hole scores, but for individual stroke play, we certainly recommend entering in hole-by-hole scores so that when you do post that score to a WHS-compliant course, net double bogey is recognized, and then those hole-by-hole scores are posted to GHIN for statistical purposes. And I'm sure the folks at the CGA would certainly encourage you to enter in your hole-by-hole scores for individual stroke play events. When you're testing as a manager, let's see, I'm not sure if this opening day scramble is going to score appropriately. I can always enter in my random scores. I can test the leaderboard to see if this is going to come out correctly. So I've got got ahead of myself again. Sorry. Certainly end up doing that sometimes when for sake of time, but let's go ahead and get this scored, and we will move back to one other feature that you may want to utilize or present to your membership, because I'm sure we all have that person who is always questioning why my handicap is the way it is. You can always come into your handicap analysis, and boy, why is Justin always asking, why am I 4.58? We should be way higher than that. You can come into the handicap analysis. This gives a nice breakdown of why these golfers are the way they are and be like, oh, Justin, by the way, your added manually golfer, they don't have an index. So of course you're a 4.58 because we're not calculating that first player at 25%. So thanks for questioning my why you are a 4.58, but you are that way because of how we handicap these particular four players based off of that USGA scramble method. So it takes a little bit of time to kind of decipher all of this, but just know that it is correct. We have made lots of adjustments based off of the USGA and changing how they stroke some of their formats, basically with four ball and singles particularly. So there can be some discrepancies, but it's all laid out within the handicap analysis. So this is a great way for you to let your golfers know that yes, Golf Genius has made the appropriate calculations to give you a 4.58 playing handicap that is then generates your net result based off of the Stableford points. Well, I guess that wasn't a very good example. Well, I guess it is okay. Probably not the best example using Stableford points with a rounding to 100th because we're still going to get a score, based off of that 100th. So probably not the best example there. Sorry about that, about rounding that down to the 100th. This probably should have been a stroke play event using that format. But you can see the opportunities that we have within your advanced options. Here is my skins tournament that we built, which was a gross tournament. We had $79. Well, we had 80, but we rounded down. So you can see that this foursome is going to get 46. This foursome is going to get 33. We have our user scored tournaments that we can enter in those results. Added manually was 2 feet from the line. I'm not going to do the closest to the pin just in sake of time, but we could certainly have a number of user scored tournaments that you could enter in results for. And you can see here are my point summary. And here is my purse summary based off of what we submitted within those tournaments. This is a scramble event. So obviously we're not going to post scores to GHIN, but if it was an individual stroke play, then I could post my scores to GHIN, and then the hole by holes would be calculated, net double bogey would be calculated, and you can push those to GHIN. Just keep in mind, if your course is non-compliant, we will not post that score to GHIN. So do make sure that your course is compliant in your course details, because we always want to post compliant scores to GHIN. Non-compliant scores to GHIN will give you an error. You can certainly go back, make your course compliant, reset your course and tee to the compliant course, rescore your leaderboard, repost those scores. But do know that that may change results. If you were using a non-compliant course, change it to compliant, your results may change based off of slope and rating and maybe stroke index being different. Once this round is completed, this is again where we can populate information to the portal to where, and again, maybe we want to post the tee sheet to the portal. Sorry, segueing again, apologies here. But if we have created those pairings and we want to show those pairings in the portal, we certainly can. We could have emailed or text messaged the players tee time beforehand. But if we can give the golfers as much information in the portal as we can, this is going to save you time from phone calls or text messages or emails as to, hey, what's my tee time? Well, for this particular event, your tee time is at 7 o'clock and you're playing with these other golfers. Within the results tab, we can view tournament results where I can look at my opening scramble. I can open up all of these different tabs to see who got the straightest drive, where I finished within that scramble tournament, and my points and purse. And then additionally, we can add portal pages. And depending on your format, whether you have TM Club or TM Premium, you may or may not have access to all of these widget pages. But if I wanted to add in a player league standings for this particular league, I could certainly do so. I could show by rank, and at least initially, I can choose a rank column. And we're not using participation points. We do have the ability to add that. That's again within your league profile under rounds and scoring. If we wanted to add participation points, we could have done that. And I can get points for participating to add to my point total. But if I want to show my total purse by rank, you can now see that these four players are tied because they all got the 100 points or the 46. Excuse me, I did it by purse, pardon me. You can see that this particular person got an extra $10 for the straightest drive. So right now they are the total purse leader. If I wanted to rank by total points, I could certainly do that as well. If I wanted to rank by times played, if I wanted to rank by participation points, we have the ability to, by default, show what that purse is. But then if we wanted to look at a different ranking structure, I could click on that and then this would adjust accordingly. So these are your player point standings or player league standings within a particular league. And if it was a team format, maybe it's a team match play, we could show that team league standings in the portal as well. So the portal is going to be a great way to direct your golfers to that particular event and or league standings. So we've done that within our first round. Well, then we move on, kind of rinse and repeat. We move into our second round. We would have those signups open up manually, or excuse me, automatically, and then those golfers would add themselves to the roster. Now we're going to kind of get into a little bit more of an in-depth round scenario. We haven't really worked with multi-round tournaments. We'll kind of focus on that on the next call. But let's say this is a better ball of partners format. And it is going to be a complete randomization of pairings. May not be A, B. We may have two A players play together. We may have two D players play together. We're going to randomly pair all of these golfers who have accepted that round invite. But we're going to put a little twist on this. We're going to add an optional skins game where I could get into an individual gross and or net skins. Again, we've all got all our golfers here. This time, everyone's going to play from... Actually, that's not right because if it's set to a incorrect gender, we wouldn't post that. So again, let's put all of our women on this particular tee. And we'll put all of our men. Oops. On this particular tee, this person I forgot to set. This time we're going to do a shotgun and we're going to do a reverse shotgun. You know, we're doing some maintenance on the golf course or whatever. We need to try and clear the tee as early as possible. We're going to do a reverse shotgun. We're going to start at 9 o'clock, going on 1, 18, 17 backwards. You certainly have the ability to edit where players start on a given hole. Apply that, save these pairings, and now we have our 9 o'clock reverse shotgun. And then the tournaments that, again, we could have set these up ahead of time, so I'm not setting these up on the day of or the day before. Again, we did a better ball of partners. And then again, if we had done that manual or that automatic index update, I wouldn't have to remember to update indexes because I already forgot on the scramble tournament. I've already forgot on the better ball tournament. But if I have that set, I don't have to remember to do that. And then it's already done for me and those indexes are updated. Obviously, it's not going to update based off of the scramble format, but if golfers played in between the league, we would certainly update indexes based off of the scores that they have posted. We're going to do a better ball of partners here. Again, we're going to do a stroke play. We're going to do a pair versus field. We're going to do a best ball over 18 holes. This time, you know what? I think it's 90%. I could be wrong. I would probably be corrected if possibly, but I think it's 90% for a better ball, maybe 85. I can't always remember what the USGA recommends, but there is a recommendation for a better ball. And if you need to know exactly what that recommendation is, it's certainly available online in the handicapping manual. We are going to do USGA last 9631, and this one actually we're going to do a bias where I'm going to have a gross finish and a net finish, but I can't finish in both. I can't double dip. So if we do a gross and net bias, I believe we have 6 pairing groups. We're going to have 3 pairing groups finish in first, 3 pairing groups finish in second, going from first gross, first net, second gross, second net, so on and so forth. So this is a great way to conduct an event where I can't double dip. You don't have someone winning both gross and net. If you did allow that, you would set up 2 tournaments. But my gross purse, we're going to do $100. Again, this is going to be a pair. So it'll be $50 per player. We'll do 80 per second. Now we've got a net purse as well, $100, 80. And then some teams or some leagues, they like to pay out an extra net position because a lot of people feel like they have no chance in the gross. You can certainly do that. And if you wanted to put a point structure in here as well, and then certainly, again, hey, we're going to play this on round 11, I can auto include that into my round 11. Maybe we're going to do a skins game, an optional skins game. So we can go ahead and build this tournament ahead of time, but we will have to do some manipulation of this tournament. And we're going to do it at gross. So you're going to have a lot of people be like, well, I never win a gross skin. And then that's the day they bone one in from 120 yards and make a deuce. And then they say, I should have got into the gross skins game. So we can do a basic skins, player versus field, playing their own ball over 18 holes. Obviously, we come through all of these scenarios. We're going to make it a gross skins game. And again, we're going to make this a $10 purse with a rounding down. Right now, if I were to use this particular format, we would have all 12 players available for this skins game. But that is not our intention. Our intention is to make it optional so that X number of golfers can get into the skins game. This is where we come into your rounds tab, and we come into the rounds, divisions, flights, and teams, and we are going to build out a skins division. We're going to add a new division. This is going to be created manually. And then when golfers come in and check in the golf shop, or if you're using round custom fields and premium, we could ask golfers if they want to play in the skins game ahead of time. And then we could certainly build that skins game based off of the round custom field question that was asked for premium. But if you're a TM club, this is where you come into the golf shop, you check in, you pay your green fee. Hey, do you want to get into the gross skins game? And then we may have X number of golfers say, yes, I want to get into the skins game. These 6 golfers are now within this particular skins division. So I have 6 golfers who got in out of the 12, but then we have to come into the tournament itself and change the division because not everyone got into that particular skins game. It's an individual game. It has nothing to do with the pair versus field better ball of partners. I now choose my gross skins division. $10 will be multiplied by the 6 players who got into the division. But actually, you know what? I want to flight this. I want to have it be a flighted skins division. That is fine as well. You would come into your rounds tab, into your rounds, divisions, flights, and teams. I've got my 6 players in my gross skins division, and now I'm going to flight them. And I'm going to create 2 flights. And this is going to base it off of handicap index. And I've got 3 of 3. But maybe some options here. If I have players with the same index between position 3 and 4, and I want them to be paired in the same flight together, that's what that checkbox does. It doesn't allow players in that break-even position going into a different flight. Didn't happen here. I've got 3 players in flight 1, 3 players in flight 2. So now I need to change my tournament format because I had it as a player versus field. I'm now going to bring my skins game. I'm choosing my skins division, but this is now going to be a player versus flight opportunity. Still $10 purse is fine, but now instead of $60 going into the skins pot, it's $30 per flight because I have 3 players in each one of those flights. I now move through this process. I've got my gross net bias. I've got my gross skins game. Maybe I add some user scored tournaments, move through the process, printing my material, checking the handicap analysis, printing out my alpha and T sheet, moving through, entering in those scores either via mobile scoring or entering in scores. I want to again check to make sure that this is going to score appropriately. I'm going to enter in my random scores, test my leaderboard. This is going to run the results. And again, now I'm going to have my better ball of partners that's going to be paid out in a bias along with my gross skins division by flight. Again, it's just finding out what your formats are, making sure that the tournaments get built appropriately according to what those formats are, and certainly testing them. Better ball of partners looks like this worked out pretty good. Yep, these guys got first. Second, Andy should be, if we did it right, should be first place. Actually, that probably may not be true. Might be somebody completely different, but it is. So we've got our first, second, and third place. We paid out 3 purse positions to net, 2 to gross. Skins game, I'm going to have a lot of skins in here, but you can see that everyone at least won a skin within those flights, within those divisions. My purse summary, I didn't have a point summary this time. I do have a purse summary that's been built. And then if I come and look at my portal, under my team league or player league standings, excuse me, I now have a new purse allocation because of the fact that my added manually player is doing really great this year. Wish I knew what his name really was or her name really was. They have now accumulated $106. And if I want to see how they got that, I can certainly click on this player and it kind of opens up where they played here. Obviously, this was a scramble, but you can see that they had a gross and a net score of 18 holes. And I can open that up even further to see where they won their purse amount. Gross better ball of partners, and their skins game is when they're $60. So this is going to be hopefully a great way to communicate with your league members, to get them engaged within the portal to determine what they have won. Now, in reference to the portal, I did say I was going to get to this, or I want to mention this as well. There are different ways we can get golfers to access the portal. We can embed the URL into a website, on your club's website, on your facility's website. We can email the URL out in an email if we want to. We can let golfers know what the GGID is, and they can go to Golf Genius and just enter in the GGID. However, this is a pretty tough character code to remember. I could certainly change that as long as it's available. It is not. I must have already used that. So if I went into Golf Genius, I entered in CGA 2026 test, I would be sent to the portal. The third way that we may want to give golfers access to a league or leagues is by coming into the apps tab and registering golfers to use the league portal. What happens on the first time that this is done? A golfer is sent an email from Golf Genius saying that, hey, you've been invited to the CGA League 2026. Please create a password associated with your email. That golfer does that. Justin Scott at golfgenius.com. I create my Golf Genius 1234 password. Great. Now when I go to golfgenius.com, I can enter in that email and password, and I'm sent to this CGA League portal. Now, if I'm part of multiple leagues, let's say I'm part of the CGA Couples League, I can then certainly go into this as a manager, go into the apps tab, register golfers to use the league portal. And then again, I'm sending another email, but I'm just sending a congratulatory email. Congratulations, you're now part of the CGA Couples 2026 League. Then when I go in and enter in my email and password, I now have a dashboard view of those two leagues that I've been registered to. So instead of having to remember multiple URLs, instead of having to remember multiple GGIDs, with one email and password, I can access all of the events and leagues that have been invited to by a manager. So something to think about if you are a manager of multiple leagues, or if your facility manages these for you, you can certainly recommend, hey, why don't you go ahead and register me to all of these so I have a dashboard view of everything that I'm eligible to view within that particular portal. Got a few minutes here. Let's see here. Okay, that was from earlier. I guess I can stop here right now. We've got about 20 minutes. I can certainly focus in on maybe something done at the golfer's level, i.e. a ringer format, if anyone wants to take a look at that, or we can certainly stop for the next few minutes and see if there are any questions that I can answer specifically about any of the leagues that you are conducting. So I'll kind of segue, I'll kind of hold off, pause a little bit. If anybody wants to take themselves off mute and ask a question, great. If we get radio silence, I'll move on to showing what the golfers tab looks like and how it reacts. Okay, good. Well, we still have all our participants, so that's great. So we will just continue on with what the golfers tab looks like, let's say for a ringer format. Oh, lost one person. Lost the iPad, but we still got Andy and Lisa. Thanks for sticking with me. Appreciate you guys and girls. So within the golfers tab, again, this is something that we are going to utilize for an extended period of the league, i.e. a ringer, a 3-round club championship, something that entails more than one round. And this will be a good UI to see because of the fact that I have more than 19 rounds built, I believe. Let's say I'm going to build a ringer division and I need to build a ringer multi-round tournament. Maybe not everyone's going to play in the ringer. Maybe, again, that's something that is optional. And I need to build out a division in the golfers tab that we are going to manually build. And we are going to choose X number of golfers, let's just say 10 out of 12, 9 out of 12, get into the ringer tournament. Well, great. Now I have this division that I can utilize for a multi-round tournament. So in the league tab, we're now going to build a multi-round tournament. And this is going to encompass more than one round, multi-round. But as you can see, because I have more than 19 rounds, the UI changes. If you have less than 19 rounds, there's a little drop down where you can choose all of the rounds that you're going to incorporate into this ringer tournament. Unfortunately, I have to build what's called a multi-round series. And it's found here under this multi-round tournament tab. It's also found under the league tab multi-round series. And the reason why we can't use all rounds, well, we could, but the reason why we can't use all rounds for the ringer tournament is round 1 and round 10 are a scramble. Well, that has no bearing on someone playing their own ball to improve on a round by round basis with their ringer. So we need to create a multi-round series. We're not going to use all 21 rounds. We're going to build out a series that encompasses just the rounds where I want to add it to the ringer. And let's say, yes, my better ball of partners, my low net, my club championship. And then also round number 11 was a better ball of partners. and round 10, we're not going to use any round that is going to be a individual stroke play that wants to count towards your ringer tournament. We will select in that series. It may be 19 of the 21 rounds. Maybe we only play 2 scramble rounds, but maybe you do an alternate shot, or maybe you do, I don't know, some sort of format where well, I guess if you skip holes, that's fine. As long as you play them all, we can still use the ringer tournaments. Basically, anytime there is a stroke play format and you want that to count towards your ringer. So I've built my multi-round series. I've got my multi-round tournament. And when I build this tournament, now instead of choosing all rounds, I'm going to choose my ringer series. I'm going to choose my ringer division. We do have gross ringers and net ringers. You could certainly choose which one you want to build. If you do both, you'd have to choose both. And sometimes I need to pay for my ringer gross and my ringer net. So you may have a gross ringer division. You may have a net ringer division. And you would apply those appropriately to each one of those tournaments. Maybe this is going to be $1,000, winner take all. Or maybe you could still do the first, second to nth place. It still doesn't matter. And actually, I won't put anything in here yet, just to show you how you can maybe adjust the leaderboard. Actually, I'm going to put something in here. I'm going to adjust the leaderboard from my second tournament. But again, you could put in a person points if you wanted to. Again, this result will not be displayed until all of the rounds have been completed. But now within my Better Ball of Partners round, if I hit completed again, notice that I've done this after the fact. Oh, shoot, I forgot to set my ringer tournament up. No big deal. We can set that up after the fact. We will add this tournament to this particular round. And now this ringer tournament will at least have a result based off of one round being played. It's going to be all of my 18-hole gross scores, obviously, because that's what we have for, and I think all 12 players participated, or all 9 of the 12. So you can see here, I'm still tied, right? I don't have an opportunity to break ties until the round has been finished. But this is my first ringer tournament. And then, we conduct all of these other tournaments. Let's do a low net. We'll start planning this round. We would build out your low net tournament. We would create your pairings. I'm not going to build a tournament real quick, just for sake of time. I'm going to create these pairings. Guess I need to confirm some golfers first. And obviously, as hopefully you're going to see what's going to happen if I improve on my ringer score within this low net. Again, we would set up a low net tournament as well. So we would have, a low net result for that round, but we're also going to use the gross score for the ringer to give me that ringer result. I'm not going to set up a net tournament just for sake of time. And I'm running out of breath as well. We'll move this to completed. And for this particular round, obviously, we're going to have a new leaderboard based off of your ringer results. And after we got to the end of the ringer format, we would generate a result. Now, some ladies leagues like to flight the ringer, which is kind of odd. So they like to flight it periodically throughout the season, which to me seems inconsistent, right? Because this is a league that goes across multiple rounds. I always like to say, if you're going to flight your ringer, do it at the end, right? I guess, what does it matter if I'm in flight 1 in week 1 and if I'm flight 3 in week 11, and then you have to go back and you have to sync some of your rounds. So either a good practice is just do the ringer as player versus field, or if you're going to flight, flight it at the end and run your results on that last week, so you don't have to go back and sync your previous rounds, because they are going to be out of sync if you're flighting each week based off of these changes. So just keep that in mind, and we can have that discussion if we need to. But you can see here my ringer. I've got my snapshot here. Let me. Sorry, I've got too much on here in my account. And check this round by round snapshot. That's more of an association feature. Associations don't necessarily run a ringer. So now this should give me a better result in my low net round, where it's not giving me a snapshot. It's now, let me run that leaderboard again. This should now give me a better ringer score. So again, don't be alarmed at what you saw there. This is just my test account. It's got all kinds of features added, both association, premium, club, sim accounts. So this will now, fingers crossed, give me a better ringer result without that round by round. Oh, shoot. Snapshot, hang on. This may, hopefully you get the gist, but this may not work based off of what was built. Let me go back and rescore round one. And then I guess while we're in here in round one, I'll kind of show you, if you did not have purse or points added in your tournament, this is where we can go into the round results itself and adjust the leaderboard. Say for whatever reason you had some extra purse, or you have a professional playing in one of the scrambles and they shouldn't be paid out. We can always go in and adjust the leaderboard or adjust the purse summary if we need to. Are we going to get it? Nope, we're not going to get it. Shoot. Okay. We will scrap that, but just know that that's how the ringer would work. If I need to adjust my leaderboard, I could certainly come in here, adjust the leaderboard. And if I needed to adjust this purse or payout, I could certainly do so. For these two players, maybe for whatever reason, Bert added manually, they're going to get an extra $10 for whatever purpose that may be. And then maybe these guys, hey, we got a few bucks for you here as well. We can always adjust that leaderboard. Click done adjusting. And then these adjustments would be made where you can see that we have added in those purse amounts. And just for sake of this, let me make sure I did. Maybe I didn't save this. I did. So maybe it's position change. And select that one. But anyway, I'm going to kind of stop there. We've got about 10 minutes. Hopefully everyone gets the gist. That ringer score will work appropriately in your account because some of those settings aren't activated on your end. So hopefully that at least gives you a good idea as to how to set up a league and run a league. Lots of different ways that can be done. As you can see, different formats, different divisions, different flights. We haven't even really got into teams yet. But this is kind of your order of operations. We're going to build the roster. We're going to build your rounds. We're going to build your tournaments within each one of those rounds. Hopefully you will use the round sign up feature to add those golfers to those particular rounds. And then within that round, we can conduct flighted games, foursomes, pairs, skins, deuces, closest to the pins. And then once those get calculated, we push all of that information to the portal, and then we direct those golfers to the portal in those handful of ways that we saw. Negative. So sorry about this, gang. This didn't show how I wanted, so we'll just chalk that up to user error, and but it will work in your account because you don't have all those features added. So apologies for the not the best ringer example there. So I am going to cut it off there. Hour and 52 minutes, I think, is probably enough for everyone, but certainly can open it up to any questions if you have any, or I'll pass it along to Aaron or Maddie to wrap up.
Yes, thank you, Justin, for that. Andy or Lisa, do you guys have any questions or anything like that?
Nope, not for me. Just kind of a refresher because I've been out of it for a while and starting to get back in it.
Perfect. Perfect.
Cool.
Thanks, Andy. All right. Lisa, anything for you for now? I know it was kind of a lot to digest, but hopefully it
is.
kind of shows you kind of the order of operations like Justin said.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. So I took some notes. I'm gonna go dig in and see what mine is set up for. So thank you.
Perfect, perfect.
Yep.
And as
Yeah.
I always like to say, try to break it, and if you do, please let me know because then I'll tell Justin.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Sounds good because I broke it, so now I got to go back and try and fix what I broke. So, and like I say, anything